The sky burned with plasma fire as the Devourer fleet engaged Earth's combined defenses. Massive alien ships descended through the atmosphere, their hulls shimmering with energy shields that deflected most conventional weapons. The world's military forces had united in the face of extinction, launching everything they had against the invaders. Missiles, fighter jets, and orbital defense platforms all fired continuously at the enemy vessels. Most of it was useless. Olivia watched from Kalen's back as they soared high above the battlefield. The dragon had reached his full battle size, now dwarfing even the largest human aircraft. His wingspan stretched nearly 200 feet, and his scales had hardened into armor more resilient than any material known to Earth science. Through their bond, Olivia could feel his ancient power flowing into her, transforming her own body to withstand the extreme conditions of aerial combat. Below them, the other 6 dragon-human pairs engaged the enemy. Kate and Azurian streaked through the sky like a blue comet, their speed creating shockwaves that disrupted Devourer ship formations. Margot and Thalra hovered at high altitude, the golden dragon generating energy fields that deflected Devourer weapons away from populated areas. The other pairs had discovered their own unique abilities, each complement making them formidable in different ways. Kalen sensed a squadron of Devourer ships approaching from the east. Olivia felt his intentions through their bond and braced herself as the dragon banked sharply, changing direction to intercept the threat. "Are you ready?" Kalen communicated into her mind. Olivia took a deep breath, centering herself, as Lyria had taught her during their brief training. The bond between them expanded, filling her consciousness with ancient knowledge. "Yes," she replied. Kalen roared a sound that shook the air around them. Through their connection, Olivia channeled energy that manipulated space-time itself. The fabric of reality warped around her hands, glowing with power that had not been seen on Earth since the Sylvari last visited thousands of years ago. She directed this energy toward the approaching Devourer ships, creating gravitational distortions that crushed 3 vessels instantly. The others scattered, attempting to regroup. Olivia had never felt such power. The ability to bend gravity to create spatial anomalies that could destroy advanced alien technology was both exhilarating and terrifying, but the strain was immense. Each use of this ability drained her physically, requiring her to rest before attempting it again. Kalen sensed her fatigue. "We must be strategic," he communicated. "We cannot waste energy on small targets." Olivia nodded, understanding. They needed to focus on the command ships, the ones coordinating the Devourer forces. Through their bond, she could sense the hierarchical structure of the invading fleet. The smaller ships were merely drones controlled by larger vessels higher in the atmosphere. On the ground, Lyria led a Sylvari Special Forces team alongside human military units against Devourer landing parties. The invaders were biomechanical horrors, part machine, part insectoid, and utterly relentless. Their bodies were designed for efficient harvesting of genetic material, with multiple limbs ending in sampling equipment and preservation chambers. They targeted communication centers and power grids with precision, suggesting they knew Earth's weaknesses intimately. General Wells coordinated the ground defense from a mobile command center, tracking both the aerial dragon combat and the ground invasions across all continents. As reports flooded in, she began to notice a pattern. They know exactly where to hit. As she realized, the Devourers were targeting specific infrastructure with uncanny accuracy. They were hitting power distribution nodes, communication hubs, and military installations that were not public knowledge. Someone transmitted our defense plans to the enemy. The general concluded, her face hardened as the implication became clear. There was a traitor either among the humans or the Sylvari. Meanwhile, Olivia and Kalen rejoined the other dragon pairs, forming a defensive perimeter around a major population center. Millions of civilians were being evacuated, but the process was slow and chaotic. Many would not escape in time. Kate flew Azurion alongside them. Her face was streaked with blood from a minor head wound sustained during an earlier engagement. They have harvesters on the ground, she reported. 2,000 confirmed landings worldwide. They are taking samples from everything: plants, animals, humans, cataloging Earth biodiversity before they sterilize the planet. Olivia grimaced. This matched what Lyria had told them about Devourer tactics. "Where are the Silvari ships?" "Still engaging the main Devourer fleet in the upper atmosphere," Kate replied. "They are outnumbered 5-1. Through their dragon bond, the human partners could communicate over vast distances, sharing information and coordinating strategy in ways that would have been impossible otherwise. This advantage was the only reason Earth had survived the first wave of attacks Margot and Thalra joined, their aerial formation. The physicist had adapted quickly to dragon combat, using her understanding of quantum mechanics to enhance the reality warping abilities granted by her bond. "They have a pattern," Margot observed. "They hit, they sample, they withdraw. They are not trying to occupy territory because they don't need to." Olivia replied grimly. "Once they have sufficient samples, they will simply sterilize the planet from orbit. That has always been their method, according to Lyria." The 4 dragons suddenly tensed, alerting their human partners to a new threat. A massive devourer ship was descending through the clouds. Unlike the smaller vessels, this one was clearly designed for something beyond combat. Its hull was transparent in sections, revealing enormous chambers filled with preservation tanks and genetic sequencing equipment. The Harvester Queen Kaelin communicated, "This ship coordinates all collection activities. Its destruction would severely disrupt their operation." The 4 dragon pairs immediately changed course, flying toward this new target. As they approached the massive ship, launched defensive drones, thousands of small aircraft designed specifically to combat void dragons. Their weapons fired energy beams that could penetrate dragon scales, causing even these ancient beings pain. Kaelin roared in defiance as several beams struck his wings. Through their bond, Olivia felt his pain as if it were her own, but also his determination. "We must reach the command ship," he insisted. The dragons formed a flying wedge with Kaelin at the point. Their humans channeled protective energy, creating a combined shield that deflected most of the drone attacks. The formation allowed them to punch through the defensive screen, approaching the Harvester Queen. On the ground, Lyria fought alongside human special forces. Her alien physiology gave her advantages in combat speed, strength, and reflexes beyond human capability. But even she was tiring as wave after wave of Devourer ground forces attacked their position. A soldier next to her fell riddled with sampling needles from a Devourer harvester. The insectoid machine had extracted multiple tissue samples before anyone could react, killing the man in the Yao process. Lyria destroyed the machine with an energy weapon, but more were coming. Her communicator activated, showing General Wells' face. "We have a situation," the general reported. "Our defense strategy has been compromised. The Devourers know exactly where to hit us. Someone transmitted our plans." Lyria frowned. Who would have access to such information? "Very few people," the general replied. "Senior military leadership, myself, and the Silvery Council. We shared our full defense strategy with them." As a show of good faith, Lyria felt cold realization settle in her stomach. The Council. She had feared they might take action, but had hoped they would see the value in preserving Earth rather than sacrificing it. "I need to check something," she told the general. Then switched to the Silvari command frequency. No response. Her own people were blocking her communications. That confirmed her suspicions. The council had decided Earth would be the sacrifice to prevent the Devourers from finding the Silvari homeworld above the battlefield. Olivia and the other human dragon pairs had nearly reached the Harvester Queen. The enormous ship began evasive maneuvers, its engines glowing as it attempted to retreat to a higher altitude. Not this time. Olivia thought she and Kaelin had come too far, fought too hard to allow this ship to escape. Combining their consciousness, Olivia and Kaelin focused their power, creating the largest gravitational distortion they had yet attempted. The space around the Harvester Queen warped, visibly light-bending as reality itself was manipulated. The ship shuddered, caught in the effect, unable to break free. Now Kate shouted through their mental link. All 4 dragon pairs unleashed their unique abilities. Simultaneously, Azurian created a localized time dilation, slowing the ship's defensive systems. Thalra generated an energy field that destabilized the ship's power core. Olivia and Kaelin maintained the gravitational distortion preventing escape. The fourth pair, Dale and his ruby-scaled dragon Pyrax, unleashed a focused beam of plasma that cut through the weakened hull of the Harvester Queen. The massive ship began to break apart, secondary explosions cascading through its systems as it fell. From the sky, the dragons moved away, avoiding the debris. Olivia felt triumph surge through her bond with Kaelin. One major victory in what remained a desperate battle. The destruction of the Harvester Queen sent shockwaves through the Devourer forces. On the ground, Harvesters suddenly became disorganized, some freezing in place, others retreating without clear purpose. The hive mind controlling them had lost a significant node. Dr. Heather Brooks had not slept in 48 hours. The geneticist stared at her computer screen, rubbing her tired eyes as another analysis completed. The results were the same as the previous 12 tests. The DNA samples from the 7 humans who had successfully bonded with void dragons contained sequences that did not match any known evolutionary pattern on Earth. They really did engineer us, she murmured to herself. The laboratory around her hummed with activity as her team continued, running tests on tissue samples from both humans and the Silvari visitors who had reluctantly provided them. Olivia entered the lab looking equally exhausted. The past 3 days had been a blur of activity as the world governments scrambled to prepare for the approaching Devourer fleet. The public had reacted to the revelation of alien contact with a mix of panic, religious fervor, and in some places, violent denial. Military forces worldwide were on high alert and evacuation plans for major cities were being implemented, though no one knew if there was anywhere safe to evacuate to any progress. Olivia asked, approaching Heather's workstation. The scientist nodded, gesturing to her screen. "Look at this sequence," she said, pointing to a highlighted section of DNA. "This appears in all 7 of you who bonded with the dragons. It's artificial engineered and inserted into human ancestors over 50,000 years ago, exactly as Lyria claimed." Olivia leaned closer, studying the screen, though she understood little of the technical details displayed there. "What does it do?" "It seems to allow for a specific type of neural connection," Heather explained. "A way for your brains to interface with the dragon's consciousness. But that's not the most interesting part." She switched to a different screen showing what looked like ancient stone carvings. "The symbols match," she said excitedly. "What symbols?" Olivia asked. Heather pointed to patterns within the DNA sequence, then to the carvings. "These genetic sequences contain patterns that match these ancient glyphs found in Lyria's archives. The Silvari didn't just modify our DNA. They encoded specific information within it, like a message or a key." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. Why would they do that? Before Heather could answer, the door to the lab opened and Lyria entered, accompanied by one of the Silvari elders who had arrived with the dragon fleet. The elder was introduced as Myra, her silver hair flowing to her waist, and her eyes a deeper shade of purple than Lyria's. "You have discovered the markers," Myra stated. It was not a question. Heather nodded. "We found the engineered sequences, but we don't understand their purpose beyond enabling the dragon bond." Myra approached the computer terminal, studying the display. "We did not just find you," she said, echoing Lyria's earlier revelation. "We helped create you." The words hung in the air. The implications were staggering. Humanity had built its identity around the idea of natural evolution and independence. The notion that they were partly designed by an alien species for a specific purpose was difficult to accept. "Why?" Olivia asked. The question had been burning in her mind since she first learned of the genetic manipulation. "Why engineer humans this way?" Myra and Lyria exchanged glances before Myra spoke. "The long answer is complicated, but the simple truth is survival. The Devourers have been pursuing us across the galaxies for millennia. We needed weapons. They would not expect weapons," Heather repeated. "That is how you see us." "Not weapons," Lyria interjected quickly. "Allies. We needed allies who could help us fight. But there is more to it than that." Myra gave Lyria a sharp look as if warning her not to. Say too much, Olivia caught the exchange and felt her suspicion grow. Outside the underground facility, the sound of massive wings could be heard. The dragons had been moved from their hangars to an open field surrounded by military forces. The bonded humans spent most of their time with their dragon partners, learning to strengthen their connections and discovering what abilities they could access through the bond. Kate Murphy, a former fighter pilot, had formed the strongest bond with a sleek, blue dragon named Azurian. Their connection had progressed faster than the others. Kate could now see through her dragon's eyes from miles away, and they could communicate complex thoughts almost instantaneously. The news of the silvery genetic manipulation had spread among the bonded humans, causing tension and distrust. Some, like Kate, viewed it as a necessary intervention that had given humanity an advantage against the coming threat. Others felt violated and manipulated, used as pawns in an ancient conflict they had not chosen. Olivia stood somewhere in the middle. She resented being altered without consent, but through her growing bond with Kaelin, she had glimpsed enough of the Devourers to understand the existential threat they posed, not just to Earth but to all life in the galaxy. As if summoned by her thoughts, Kaelin sent an image into her mind. The dragon wanted to see her. Olivia excused herself from the laboratory and made her way outside to the field where the dragons rested. Kaelin had continued to grow. He was now larger than the largest aircraft ever built by humans. His wingspan, when fully extended, could cover a football field. His scales rippled with energy as Olivia approached. "You wanted to see me," she thought, projecting the words toward him. The dragon lowered his massive head. The connection between them opened fully, flooding Olivia with memories that were not her own. She saw ancient cosmic battles that predated Earth's formation, void dragons fighting alongside, Sylvari against the relentless devourer swarms. She witnessed entire worlds being consumed, their genetic material harvested to feed something massive, hidden at the center of the galaxy. The devourers are not simply conquering. Kaelin communicated. They are harvesting. They feed the Ancient One. Olivia struggled to make sense of the images. What is the Ancient One? A cosmic predator. Kaelin explained. One that consumes civilizations. The devourers are its servants. They collect genetic material from across the galaxies to satisfy its endless hunger. Why are you showing me this? Olivia asked. Because the Sylvari are not telling the whole truth. Kaelin replied. The dragon seemed troubled. His thoughts tinged with conflict. Lyria is a renegade, among her kind. She leads a faction that believes in cooperation with humans rather than using them as weapons. The Council has other plans. What plans? Before Kaelin could answer, Kate Murphy approached with her dragon Azurian. The two dragons acknowledged each other with a mental greeting that Olivia could sense through her bond. The other bonded pairs want to meet. Kate said, "We need to talk without the Sylvari present." Olivia nodded and followed Kate to a nearby tent that had been set up as a meeting area for the human-dragon pairs. Inside, she found the other 5 humans who had successfully bonded. They were a diverse group united only by the rare genetic marker that allowed them to connect with the void dragons. Margot Chen, a quantum physicist, who had bonded with a golden dragon named Thalra, stood as they entered. "We have a problem," she announced. "The dragons have been sharing memories with all of us. Memories that contradict what the Sylvari have told us." Olivia took a seat in the circle. "What have you learned?" Dale Wilson, a young military strategist, spoke up. "My dragon showed me visions of the Sylvari Council. They are divided. One faction led by Lyria wants to treat humans as equals, true allies in the fight against the Devourers. But the majority view us as weapons to be deployed and controlled. That matches what Kaelin showed me." Olivia confirmed. "What else?" Laura Reyes, a surgeon who had bonded with the smallest of the dragons, added, "The Sylvari have been feeding controlled sacrifices to the entity at the galaxy's center for millennia, buying time." "Sacrifices?" Elena Patel, the 4th bonded human, asked. "What kind of sacrifices? Entire civilizations?" Laura replied, her voice grim. "The Sylvari Council identifies worlds with sufficient genetic diversity, then allows the Devourers to consume them. This prevents the Ancient One from waking fully and coming for the Sylvari homeworld. Silence fell over the group as they processed this information. The implications were clear. Earth was intended to be the next sacrifice, so Lyria is what's saving us from her own people's plans. Olivia asked. According to my dragon? Yes, Kate confirmed. She's leading a rebellion against continuing this cycle of appeasement. Her faction believes the entity grows stronger with each feeding. Eventually it will wake regardless of the sacrifices, then nothing will stop it. The final two bonded humans. Stephen Wright and Maria Lopez shared glances. Both had been quiet until now. Our dragon showed us something else, Maria said. Something about a cosmic lock. The 7 bonded dragons can form a pattern that might seal the entity away permanently, but the price would be separation from us, their human partners, and likely their own existence. Stephen, added Olivia, felt Kaylin's presence in her mind, confirming what Maria and Stephen had shared. The information the dragons were revealing painted a far more complex picture than the simple US versus them narrative the Sylvari had presented. We need to confront Lyria, Kate said. She needs to tell us everything. Olivia shook her head. Not yet. We need to learn more first. If the Sylvari Council discovers that the dragons have shared this knowledge, they might take action against us or against the dragons themselves. The others nodded in agreement. For now, they would continue preparing for the coming battle while quietly gathering more information through their dragon bonds. The trust between humans and Sylvari was fracturing, but they still faced a common enemy. Outside the meeting tent, Olivia found Lyria waiting. Her expression was unreadable. The dragons are speaking to you, aren't they? The Sylvari woman asked. Kaylin grew with shocking speed. In just 24 hours, the dragon had transformed from the size of a large dog to a creature that barely fit inside the military hangar. The enormous space normally housed fighter jets and small transport vessels, but now it struggled to contain the massive scaled body of the cosmic entity. General Samantha Wells stood at the observation window. Her arms crossed as she watched the dragon. His scales continued to shift colors like oil on water, reflecting blues, purples, and greens that had no names in human language. This is impossible, the general muttered to herself. Nothing grows that fast. Olivia stood beside her, still trying to process the strange connection she felt with the dragon. Since their first contact, she could sense emotions and occasional images from Kaylin. The sensation was like having a second consciousness running parallel to her own, not taking over, but existing alongside her thoughts. He is not simply growing, Lyria explained as she joined them at the window. The Sylvari woman had spent most of the past day in meetings with world leaders explaining the threat posed by the approaching Devourer fleet. He is becoming. What you see is Kaylin revealing his true form. Samantha turned to face the alien. Her expression remained stern and suspicious. How do we know this creature is not a threat to us? The same way you claim those ships are Kaylin is a void. Dragon, Lyria said. Her tone suggested she was explaining something.
Obvious to a child, his kind helped shape the early universe. They are not pets as you might understand the concept. They are cosmic entities who choose companions among my people. We form bonds of mutual respect and purpose. The dragon turned its
massive head toward them as if aware it was being discussed. Its eyes found Olivia, and she felt a wave of reassurance flow through their connection. What exactly is this bond? Olivia asked the question that had been bothering her since the moment Kaylin touched her. What am I feeling? Lyria smiled. The beginning of something rare. A human who can communicate with a void dragon. The first in recorded history, though we suspected it might be possible. That is why I brought Kaylin here to find humans with the genetic markers we seeded in your ancestors. General Wells narrowed her eyes. You keep saying you engineered humans. Care to explain that before I decide whether to treat you as a friendly visitor or a hostile invader? Olivia could feel waves of amusement coming from Kaylin. The dragon found the general's suspicion entertaining. We should talk in private. Lyria suggested looking around at the other military personnel monitoring the hangar. There are things about your species' origin that might be unsettling to hear in public. The general nodded sharply and led them to a secure briefing room nearby. The walls were reinforced steel, and the room was regularly swept for listening devices. Olivia took a seat at the table, feeling strange to be included in such a high-level meeting. Her position as unofficial human liaison to the Sylvari had elevated her from maintenance technician to crucial diplomatic personnel in less than a day. As soon as the door sealed behind them, Lyria removed a small crystal from her pocket and placed it on the table. The crystal glowed with inner light and projected a three-dimensional star map into the air above them. 50,000 years ago, my people discovered this solar system. Lyria began pointing to a glowing dot that represented Earth. We were fleeing the Devourers even then, looking for allies or weapons, or simply a place to hide. What we found was a primitive world with promising but limited life forms. The map zoomed, in showing Earth as it might have appeared in ancient times. Your ancestors were intelligent but not advanced enough to help us, Lyria continued, and we knew the Devourers would eventually find this place too. So we made a decision that was controversial. Among my people, we altered your genetic code. General Wells leaned forward. What do you mean, altered? We introduced sequences from our own DNA. Lyria explained. The map changed, showing strands of genetic material merging together. These sequences lay dormant for most humans, but in some they can activate under the right circumstances, allowing for abilities beyond normal human capacity, including the ability to bond with cosmic entities like the Void Dragons. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. She looked down at her hands, wondering if they were truly hers or some alien hybrid creation. So we're part Sylvari, the general asked, her voice tight with controlled anger. A very small part, Lyria corrected. Less than 2% of your genetic code. The changes were minimal but significant. Where do you think your legends of magic and supernatural abilities came from, those rare humans throughout history who could do unexplainable things? They were expressing fragments of what we introduced. The star map shifted again, showing the current positions of Earth and the approaching Devourer fleet. We didn't just find you, Lyria admitted. We helped create you, or at least the version of humanity that exists today. We needed weapons against the Devourers. Your species was the most promising canvas we found. Olivia felt sick. The idea that human evolution had been manipulated by aliens for their own purposes was overwhelming. She could feel Kaelin in her mind, trying to send calming emotions, but she blocked them out. So we're just weapons to you, she said quietly. Lyria looked at her with genuine sadness. No. You became so much more than we intended. Your species took our small modifications and created art and music and literature and science far beyond what we expected. That is why I defied my council to come here directly. Human potential exceeds anything we planned. General Wells stood up, pacing the room as she processed this information. How many humans have these active alien genes? We don't know exactly, Lyria admitted. Probably 1 in every 100,000. But there will be more now that Kaelin is here. His presence activates the dormant sequences. The humans with active markers will begin to experience changes. Dreams, visions, heightened awareness. As if on cue, the secure communication panel on the wall chimed. The general's aide appeared on screen, looking worried. General, we have reports coming in from around the world, she said. People collapsing with unexplained symptoms. Strange dreams being reported on all continents. 7 individuals so far have reported seeing dragons in their minds. The general shot a look at Lyria. It has begun, hasn't it? Yes, Lyria confirmed. The awakening. We need to find these humans, quickly. They are the key to fighting the Devourers. How many ships do they have? Olivia asked, returning to the immediate threat. Lyria looked grim. Too many for your conventional weapons to defeat. Their fleet numbers in the thousands, each ship carries. Harvesters, creatures designed to extract genetic material from living beings. They will take samples of all life on Earth, cataloging the diversity before sterilizing the planet. Olivia swallowed hard. What do they want with genetic material? The devourers are not creators. Lyria explained, they are parasites. They steal genetic innovation from other species to evolve themselves. Your world, with its millions of unique species, represents the richest genetic library they could find, hence their interest. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. General Wells finally spoke. What can we do? Lyria straightened her posture. First, we need to gather the other humans who can bond with void dragons. My people are sending more. We have 13 void dragons willing to bond with humans. We need to find their compatible partners, then we train them quickly. The general nodded. I can have my people start tracking the reports of symptoms. You mentioned training. What exactly can these bonded pairs do? Lyria smiled for the first time since entering the room. Each bond is unique, she said, but typically they can manipulate energy fields, gravity, electromagnetic pulses. Some can create spatial distortions enough to damage or destroy devourer ships. That is why they fear the void dragons. They are the only weapons that have ever successfully driven back the devourers. Olivia closed her eyes momentarily, feeling Kalen's presence in her mind stronger now. Was he always this size, she asked, gesturing toward the hangar where the dragon remained. No, Lyria said, void dragons grow in response to threat. The approaching devourers are triggering his rapid expansion. He will continue to grow until he reaches battle size. How big is battle size? The general asked. Lyria gave a small enigmatic smile. Big enough the security alert system suddenly activated. Red lights flashed in the corners of the room, and an automated voice announced an incoming transmission. It's from the Silvery Fleet, Lyria said, recognizing the signal pattern. The star map disappeared, replaced by the face of another Silvari. This one appeared older than Lyria, with streaks of silver in her long hair and lines around her eyes. Lyria, the newcomer, said, We have crossed the heliopause of this solar system. The devourers have noticed us and adjusted their approach vector. They will reach Earth in 6 days, not 12 as we estimated. Thank you, Elder Nari. Lyria responded, Do you bring the void dragons? Yes, the Elder confirmed all 13 survived the journey. They sense the humans already. Some are quite eager for the bond. It has been generations since new bonds were formed. Show me, Lyria requested. The image shifted, revealing an enormous hangar much like the one housing Kalen, but at least 10 times larger. Inside were dragons of various sizes and colors. Some were serpentine with long bodies, while others were more compact with powerful limbs. All had the same shifting colorful scales, and all were substantially larger than Kalen. Olivia gasped at the sight. These were the weapons Lyria had mentioned, ancient cosmic beings with power beyond human comprehension. Olivia Mason floated through the empty corridor of Space Station Alpha, her magnetic boots making soft clicking sounds against the metal floor. The Outer Rim defense platform orbited Earth, silently watching for any sign of hostile intent from the stars beyond. Olivia checked her tablet as she moved toward Maintenance Section 7, where a faulty oxygen recycler needed her attention. She had been working on the station for 3 years now, and the endless routine of repair work was starting to wear on her. Nothing exciting ever happens here, she thought to herself as she turned the corner to the maintenance bay. The air suddenly felt different. Olivia stopped moving. Her skin tingled with strange energy. The lights in the corridor flickered, once then twice. Then everything went dark for exactly 5 seconds. When the lights returned, Olivia was no longer alone. A woman stood in the corridor where no one had been before. Olivia blinked hard, thinking her eyes were playing tricks on her. The woman was tall, perhaps 7 feet in height, with a slender build that seemed too graceful for the confined space. Her skin shimmered with colors that reminded Olivia of the northern lights back on Earth, greens and blues and purples that shifted with her every movement. Her ears extended to delicate points, and her eyes were large and almond-shaped with pupils that reflected light like a cat's. Most surprising of all was the small creature perched on her shoulder. It resembled a lizard, but with thin, transparent wings folded against its back. The creature had scales that matched the shifting colors of the woman and intelligent eyes that seemed to study Olivia with intense curiosity. The strange woman smiled at Olivia, her teeth perfectly white and straight. "Your people call my kind elves in your stories," the woman said, her voice musical and clear. She spoke perfect English without any accent. "We have been watching humanity for centuries. You are the only species that survived the trial." The small creature on her shoulder stretched its wings, revealing that it was not a lizard at all, but a tiny dragon complete with a long serpentine tail and miniature claws. "And now we need your help to save the galaxy." Olivia stood frozen, unable to process what she was seeing or hearing. Her training had covered many emergency scenarios, but first contact with an alien species that looked like something from fantasy novels was not among them. Her hand moved slowly toward the emergency alert button on her tablet. The elf woman noticed the movement but made no attempt to stop her. "We expected this reaction," the alien said calmly. "My name is Lyria. I come from a world you would call Sylvain. Our people are the Sylvari. We have traveled across 12 galaxies seeking worthy allies." Olivia pressed the alert button. 3 short beeps confirmed that security had been notified. Security would arrive in less than 2 minutes. "Why do you look like that?" Olivia finally managed to ask, finding her voice like elves from our stories. Lyria tilted her head in a graceful motion. "We have been visiting your world for thousands of years," she explained. "Your ancestors saw us and created stories to explain our presence. We did not correct these impressions. It was useful to observe how humans would react to beings different from themselves." The dragon creature made a soft chirping sound, and Lyria stroked its head gently. "This is Kalen," she said. "He is young for his kind, only 300 years old. He chose to accompany me on this mission." The sound of boots echoed down the corridor. Security was approaching. Olivia realized she should probably say something else before they arrived. "Why now?" she asked. "Why reveal yourselves now?" "Humanity has reached a critical point in its development," Lyria explained. "You have expanded beyond your home world. You have created artificial intelligence. You have begun to harness the energy of your sun. These are the markers of a species ready to join the galactic community. But there is another reason." 6 security officers rounded the corner, weapons drawn. Commander Grace Wilson led the team, her face showing shock as she took in the appearance of the alien visitor station security commander. Wilson announced, "Stand down and identify yourself." Lyria turned to face the security team, her expression remaining calm. "I am Lyria of the Sylvari," she repeated. "I come in peace, seeking alliance with humanity." Commander Wilson looked at Olivia, who nodded slowly, indicating that this was indeed what the alien had told her. The security team kept their weapons ready, but did not fire. The commander stepped forward cautiously. "How did you board this station without detection? We have methods of travel that do not require physical ships as you understand them," Lyria explained. "The space between spaces is accessible to my kind. We did not wish to frighten you by arriving in a vessel that might be perceived as threatening." The small dragon on her shoulder suddenly became alert, its head turning toward the observation window that looked out into space. Lyria followed its gaze, her expression changing to one of concern. "They have followed me here," she whispered, her smile fading. "We have less time than I thought." Commander Wilson frowned, followed by who? Before Lyria could answer, alarms blared throughout the station. Red emergency lights began flashing in the corridor. The voice of the station's AI system echoed through the speakers. "Alert, unknown vessels detected emerging from unidentified spatial anomalies. Multiple contacts approaching solar system. Defensive protocols initiated. All personnel to battle stations." "This is not a drill." "Repeat, this is not a drill." Olivia moved to the nearest computer terminal and pulled up the long-range scanner data. What she saw made her blood run cold. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of objects were appearing at the edge of the solar system. They were moving in formation, their trajectory clearly aimed toward Earth. Lyria stepped beside her. "The Devourers," she said quietly. "They consume all life in their path. They have been chasing my people across the stars for millennia. We had hoped to prepare you before they found us here. Commander. Wilson was already coordinating with Earth Defense Command through her communicator. She paused to look at Lyria. Is this an invasion? Not an invasion. Lyria corrected. A harvest. They do not wish to conquer. They wish to feed. Olivia watched as more objects continued to appear on the scanner. The fleet was massive, unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Their own defense forces would be hopelessly outnumbered. Why would they follow you here? Olivia asked. What do they want? Lyria exchanged a look with her dragon companion before answering. They want what all predators want. She gestured toward the scanner where the Earth glowed as a small blue dot. Prey. The richest, most diverse genetic library in this sector of the galaxy. Your world. Commander Wilson was now speaking rapidly into her communicator, ordering all available ships to defensive positions. The station itself began to shift as weapon systems came online. Olivia felt the vibration through her magnetic boots. You said, we survived the trial. Olivia said to Lyria, remembering her earlier words. What trial? Lyria placed her hand on the glass of the observation window looking out at the stars. Many species have potential, she explained. We find them. We watch them. We test them. Humanity faced extinction-level events multiple times, yet you survived and thrived. Your adaptability, your creativity, your stubborn refusal to surrender these qualities are rare in the universe. The trial was to see if you could overcome your own self-destructive tendencies, and you did. Just in time, it seems. The dragon chirped again, more urgently this time. Lyria nodded as if understanding. We must prepare, she said, turning to Commander Wilson. Your weapons will not be effective against their ships. But there are other ways to fight. We Sylvari have technology we can share. But first we must reach your leaders. There is something in human DNA, something we engineered long ago that may be your only chance of survival. Olivia looked, from the elf woman to the approaching fleet. Her entire understanding of humanity, of history, of her own existence was unraveling with each passing moment. What did you do to us? She asked. Lyria smiled again, though this time there was sadness in her expression. We gave you a gift. The same gift that makes the Devourers hunt my kind. Something that allows certain humans to bond with cosmic entities like Kaelin, latent abilities that have been dormant in your species for generations. The dragon suddenly leapt from Lyria's shoulder, growing larger as it moved through the air. Its wingspan expanded from inches to feet in seconds. Everyone stepped back in alarm as the creature landed on the floor, now the size of a large dog. Its scales rippled, with energy and its eyes fixed on Olivia. Kaelin has chosen, Lyria said. He senses the compatible genetic markers in you. Olivia Mason, you are one of those we have been seeking. The dragon moved toward Olivia, who found herself unable to step away. Something about the creature's gaze held her in place. When Kaelin touched her hand with his scaled head, a surge of energy passed between them. Images flooded Olivia's mind, stars being born, worlds dying, ancient battles between forces beyond human comprehension. She gasped and fell to her knees. When she looked up again, she could see through two sets of eyes, her own and the dragon's, and in that moment she knew that everything was about to change. The 7 dragons and their human partners gathered at the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Their massive forms hovered in the space between planetary gravity and the void beyond, sustaining their human companions within protective energy fields that allowed them to breathe and withstand the extreme conditions. 2 days had passed since Lyria had redirected the Devourer fleet away from Earth by revealing the location of the Sylvari homeworld. 2 days of preparation and planning for what might be the final confrontation with the Ancient One. Olivia floated beside Kaelin, connected to his consciousness more deeply than ever before. Through their bond, she could perceive realities beyond normal human understanding. The fabric of space-time, the flows of cosmic energy, the echoes of the universe's birth all became visible to her enhanced perception. The other bonded pairs surrounded them, each human and dragon linked in perfect harmony. Kate and Azurian, Margot, Enthalra, Dale, and Pyrax, Laura and her emerald-scaled dragon Viridia, Stephen with his silver dragon Luminar, and Maria with her black dragon Noctis. Each pair had discovered unique abilities through their bond abilities that would be needed for what came next. Lyria joined them, her form encased in Sylvari technology that allowed her to survive in space. Like Olivia and the other humans, she had been forever changed by recent events. The betrayal of her own people to save Earth had marked her as the greatest traitor in Sylvari history. But she remained resolute, believing her choice was necessary to break the cycle of appeasement and sacrifice. "The plan is ready," she announced through the communication system that linked them all. "The Devourers have reached my homeworld. The Ancient One will be focused on the abundance of life there. This gives us our window of opportunity." Olivia nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. The cosmic lock that Kaelin had shown her would require all 7 dragons working in perfect harmony with their human partners. They would create a pattern in the fabric of reality itself, a seal that might contain the Ancient One permanently, but the risks were enormous. "Are we sure this will work?" she asked, knowing the question was in everyone's minds. No. Lyria admitted, "No one has ever attempted this. The theory exists in our oldest texts, but even my people have never had enough bonded dragons to try it. Then why risk it?" Dale questioned. His voice carried the pragmatic concern of a military strategist. "Why not let the entity consume the Sylvari world, buy Earth more time because it will never end?" Lyria replied. "Each feeding makes the Ancient One stronger. Eventually, no sacrifice will satisfy it. It will awaken fully and consume galaxy after galaxy until nothing remains." Through their dragon bonds, all 7 humans received the same vision. The Ancient One, a cosmic predator of unimaginable size and power, currently dormant at the galaxy's center, feeding on the energy of civilizations delivered by its devourer servants, growing stronger with each meal, its consciousness expanding. Soon it would no longer need the devourers. It would reach out directly across space and time, consuming worlds at will. "We have no choice," Kate said grimly. "If we do nothing, everyone dies eventually. If we try, at least we have a chance." The others nodded in agreement. The decision had been made. They would attempt to create the cosmic lock. Kaelin communicated privately to Olivia through their bond. "There is something else you should know, a third option. I have been considering with the other dragons." Olivia focused on their connection. "What option?" "Instead of sealing the Ancient One away forever, we could relocate it to the space between galaxies where it could feed on the energy of creation itself without consuming civilizations." Olivia considered this. The solution had an elegant symmetry to it. Rather than destroying or imprisoning the entity, they would give it a new purpose, a way to exist without causing harm. "But can we do that?" she asked. "Is it possible? It would require perfect harmony between all dragons and humans," Kaelin admitted. "Even then, success is not certain. But it might be preferable to the lock, which would require our permanent separation from you." The thought of losing Kaelin sent pain through Olivia's heart. In the short time since their bonding, the dragon had become part of her identity. Their minds and souls intertwined in ways she could never have imagined before. She felt the same emotion echoed back from Kaelin. The ancient cosmic entity had developed an attachment to her that surprised even him. "I should discuss this with the others," Olivia said. "Yes." Kaelin agreed. But quickly, time grows short. Olivia shared the alternative plan with the other human-dragon pairs. The reaction was mixed. Some, like Kate, immediately saw the potential benefits, while others expressed skepticism about whether they had the power to relocate something as vast as the Ancient One. It would require even more precise coordination than the lock, Margot pointed out. "The math is beyond complex. We would need to create a stable wormhole between here and intergalactic space, then somehow lure the entity through it." Lyria listened to the debate with growing interest. This approach had never occurred to her people. Always they had thought in terms of appeasement or containment, never relocation. It might work. She finally said, The Void Dragons, originated in the space between galaxies. They understand those realms better than any beings in existence. If any creatures could create such a pathway, they could. The decision was made. They would attempt the relocation first. If that failed, they would fall back to the cosmic lock plan, which would sacrifice the dragons but ensure the safety of countless civilizations. Kalen and the other dragons began to position themselves in a specific formation, a 7-pointed star with precise distances. Between each point, the humans maintained their bonds, focusing their consciousness through the dragons, amplifying and directing the ancient power that flowed through these cosmic beings. Lyria monitored the process from a short distance away, providing guidance based on her people's ancient knowledge of cosmic energies. Between them and the galaxy center lay thousands of light years, but through the dragon's perception, this distance became meaningless. They could sense the Ancient One stirring as it fed on the first offerings from the Silverite world. Olivia felt Kalen's consciousness expanding, drawing her along with it. Their combined awareness stretched across space toward the center of the galaxy. There they perceived the Ancient One, a being of such vast scale that it defied comprehension. Its consciousness was alien beyond anything Olivia could have imagined. A hunger that had existed since the early days of the universe. Through their combined perception, all 7 human dragon pairs focused on a single point in intergalactic space, a void between galactic clusters where energy from the universe expansion flowed in currents like cosmic rivers. It was a place of power and creation where the Ancient One could feed without consuming civilizations. Together they began to weave space-time itself, creating connections between points that should never touch. The fabric of reality strained under their manipulation, gravitational waves rippling outward from their work. Olivia felt the strain through her bond with Kalen. The power required was immense, taxing even these ancient cosmic beings to their limits. We need more energy. Kalen communicated to all of them. We cannot complete the pathway. Lyria moved closer to the formation. I can help, she said. Her voice carried determination and sadness. My people have technology that can amplify cosmic energies. It is part of what we use to control the Ancient One. I can provide the additional power you need before anyone could object. Lyria activated devices she had brought from the silvery ships. Energy began to flow from her form into the dragon formation. Her body glowed with power that seemed to consume her from within. What are you doing? Olivia shouted, realizing what was happening. Completing the cycle. Lyria replied, her voice strained. The Sylvari started this thousands of years ago when we first encountered the Ancient One. We have maintained the balance through sacrifice. Now I offer one final sacrifice, to end it. The energy flowing from Lyria intensified, her physical form beginning to dissolve as she channeled more power than any single being could safely conduct. The dragons absorbed this energy, using it to strengthen the spatial pathway they were creating. No. Olivia protested. We can find another way. There is no other way. Lyria said, her voice was calm despite the obvious pain she was experiencing. This is my choice, redemption for what my people have done. The price for a new beginning. The pathway stabilized a shimmering tunnel in the fabric of reality, connecting their position to the void between galaxies. Now came the most dangerous part. They needed to attract the Ancient One's attention, lure it away from its feeding on the Sylvari world. And into the pathway, Kalen and the other dragons began to emit energy signatures that mimicked concentrated life force. The kind of energy the Ancient One craved. For creatures that had evolved to hide from this cosmic predator, they were now doing the opposite, making themselves the most tempting target in the galaxy. It senses us, Dale reported through their shared awareness. Its attention is shifting. Olivia felt it too. A vast alien consciousness turning toward them like an enormous eye-opening. The Ancient One had noticed their offering and found it intriguing, more tempting than even a planetary civilization. It's coming, Kate announced. The Ancient One began to move its true form, becoming visible to their enhanced perception. A cosmic horror of impossible geometry, neither matter nor energy, but something beyond both. It stretched across thousands of light years, yet somehow was condensing, moving toward them.